Hi, everyone. I'm Ray. I'm the VP of Product at Belvo. And today I will talk to you about building products that build the next generation of fintech companies in Latin America. First, a little bit about me. This is a picture of Shenzhen, China, an electronic market in Shenzhen, China. Shenzhen is known as the Silicon Valley of China, where iPhones grow on trees. And this is where my father and I went to pick up computer parts to put together the first family computer. And on that family computer, I wrote my first line of code when I was 8. I came to study in the United States, and I studied finance. I landed my dream jobs at some of the biggest banks outside, right out of school. But I was really unsatisfied working at these big banks. I think it's because I've always been a builder all my life. So I set out to change my career, and I went from working at big banks to building products and building startups and building software. I built 5 startups in my life, and Belvo is my 5th startup. And this is what I've been doing for the past decade, building startups in Silicon Valley. In this talk, I will share 4 things that I learned along the way and things that are working well for us at Belvo. First, we'll talk about thinking big, doing things that don't scale, building local solutions for local customers, and lastly, build a company that builds the products. First, think big. A big mission actually makes it easier to build great products and companies, not harder. Now, this may sound a little bit counterintuitive. You may ask, why would something big be easier to build? Here are 4 great reasons for it. First, it's easier to fundraise from long-term investors if you have a big mission. Investors are usually wanting to fund companies that have the potential to be great. Companies that have really, really big revenue potential, billion-dollar plus, and multi-billion-dollar total addressable markets. And they're looking to invest in companies that can pay back the fund. So by building a big mission, you attract the best investors in the world. Building a big mission is also a great way to build a moat with your brand. You want to be known for something for your company. An example that comes to mind is Patagonia. Patagonia makes clothing for outdoor enthusiasts. And for customers, there are many people that make shirts. You might think a shirt is just a shirt, but Patagonia doesn't just sell your shirt. It's trying to serve you its brand and serve your emotional need. By buying Patagonia, a lot of their customers feel good about treating employees well, treating vendors well, and taking care of the environment. So you're not just buying a shirt, you're really buying into a mission. Building a big mission is also a great way to make a big impact. And a big impact actually naturally gives you product adoption. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Lastly, building a big mission is a great way to attract talent and motivate employees. It's a great way to filter for passion and talent looking to solve really tough problems. Here's a survey from Bain. In this survey, Bain talked about how 75% of engaged employees working for a company with a strong sense of purpose. And those engaged employees have 125% improved productivity. Your mission also helps you pivot. So let's first define what a pivot is. The way that we think about pivot is a change in strategy without a change in vision. And on the right here, this is a great example of one of the greatest pivots in the history of building software. So we all know Instagram, but we might not know that Instagram actually started out as this app called Bourbon. Bourbon was a location-based check-in app, kind of like Foursquare. And its mission at the time was to capture the world's moments and share the world's moments. But what they learned is that location-based check-in is actually a feature, not a product. So the app was doing okay. It was not doing great. It was not growing very fast. And the founders, Mike and Kevin, thought, how will we pivot and build an even bigger company to achieve our mission? So they took out the most important, most interesting aspect of the location-based check-in app, the photo sharing, and they turned it into Instagram. So it's a complete pivot in the sense that it's a different brand, different app, different use cases, but they didn't actually change the mission. Instagram is still helping people to capture and share their moments. So it's a great example of how they had a change in strategy without changing vision. Now, why would you pivot your startup? There are a number of reasons. So throughout the life of your startup, you might evolve it in a number of different ways. You might refine what you set out to build. You might face some changes in your business needs. And you might experience some changes in consumer taste in the community that you serve. This is especially important for B2C companies where consumer taste and ecosystem move really fast. We think big here at Belvo by drawing inspirations from other markets. We're really interested in the world around us. We don't want to just innovate in a vacuum. So we're always looking out there in other markets, in other companies, academic fields, other industries to try to draw inspiration and challenge our assumptions. So the way that we think about the world of data is that the future should be open. Consumers should be in full control of their data, and anyone can use any fintech product instantly with one click. So here are some of the benchmarks that we looked at around the world. In EU, they were the front runners with open banking data regulation, and they regulated that with the PSD2 regulation. In the United States, for equity trading, stock trading data, the SEC mandates that all equity trading data should be open to people to use. So they fostered an environment with government regulation. And we're starting to see that also in Latin, starting with Brazil. The Central Bank of Brazil is now mandating open banking data. And there are many providers, including us, going to market with open banking data aggregation solutions. Here, we'll talk a little bit more about how achieving our mission actually naturally create more impact. We achieve our mission through our customers by helping our customers deliver value to their customers. So on the left here are three examples. First, we help PFMs, personal financial management apps, and ERPs to drive smarter financial behavior. We help lenders extend credit. And we also help ERPs to operate businesses and stay compliant. So by helping our customers deliver these values, they naturally help us achieve our mission, which is to democratize access to financial services in Latin America. Measuring success. So the way that we think about measuring success is it's an outcome, not an output. We want to measure the outcome. So we start with today. Today, we have six-figure monthly active users. We integrate with 60 plus banks, and we have three-figure customers. But this is just a small portion of the impact that we can make. So in the three countries that we operate, Mexico, Brazil, and Colombia, there are 300 million adults, and we're only addressing hundreds of thousands of them. There are 226 banks, and there are 2,700 fintech companies. So we have a lot to grow in just the three countries that we operate. But if we look broader in the entire Latin America ecosystem, the whole ecosystem, the whole region has 1.7 times the GDP of the three countries that we operate in, and 500 million adults. So we always think of our business as that we're still at day one, and we're right now only achieving 1% of our vision, and we have a long way to go. How we test for thinking big at Belvo. So we ask our people and also future Belvoers, our interview candidates, these questions. What's the biggest problem that you worked on? Why was the problem meaningful? Why was your solution different? And what does the world look like when the problem is solved? Next, we'll talk about doing things that don't scale. This is not actually at odds with thinking big. A lot of people say that you should think big and start small, and there's some truth to that. You want to sequence your way to your mission. You will not achieve your mission on day one. But by taking step by step and starting small, you can eventually achieve your mission. So here are some great examples of how startups start by doing things that don't scale. in serving really niche markets. This is Microsoft from 1975 to 1979. So surprisingly, Microsoft, even though it's right now headquartered in Seattle, it started in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in the United States. And it was just a couple of guys building basic interpreters for a market with a few thousand hobbyists. Because they had a small niche with really passionate hobbyists supporting their business, they were able to grow into the Microsoft that they are today. Here's Airbnb circa 2008. So this looks very, very different in terms of polish compared to the Airbnb experience today. Back then, it was still called Air Bed and Breakfast. And one of the things that the three founders learned was that quality photos equal lots more bookings. So the founders took their personal cameras, they went door to door to all their hosts, and they helped their hosts take high quality photos. And these photos helped bootstrap Airbnb and gave the platform a lot more listings and bookings. And here's us. Here's Belvo 2019 to 2020. We were founded in 2019, and we attended Y Combinator around 2019-2020 timeframe. We were the winter 20 cohort. And on the left, it's a picture of a Y Combinator dinner where the founders get together and listen to a talk and eat pasta. Unfortunately, today it's no longer held in our post-pandemic world. Hopefully, it will return someday soon. And this is where we first launched our product, and we had our first production-ready sales conversations. During these YC dinners, our founders would go around to all our fintech peers in the same cohort, especially those in Latin America, and we try to get feedback from them. We try to build with them. We try to get them to commit to trying us, and we got our first deal signed. And on the right-hand side, this was our first product live. It's our Bank Connect widget. It doesn't look very great today, but every startup and every product has to start somewhere. So the reason why doing things that don't scale works is because you want to test your value hypothesis before you test your growth hypothesis. So value hypothesis is when you build a product from 0 to 1, when you just have an idea and you want to test its value, you ask the question, why would anyone use my product? And it's actually not important to have lots and lots of customers. Every product had 10 customers before they had 100 customers. And fewer customers is actually your superpower because you get to really concierge those few customers and you get to treat them really well to make them superheroes. And you want to start with customers that love you today, not customers that will love you in 5 years. And the good news is that no one knows that you have very few customers. And after you have product market fit, then you want to test your growth hypothesis. So the question that you ask is, how would lots of customers find and use my product? So in general, we see a lot of startups trying to self-serve, build self-serve products to have customers sign up, pull out their credit card, and just magically start using their product. This is usually not the recommended way. It doesn't work, especially for B2B SaaS companies, because self-serve, that doesn't just mean set it and forget it. So it's not a great way to really learn from customers. You want to actively be talking to customers, to working directly with them, to build directly for them. And frankly, self-serve might not even be good for when you're scaling up. If your SaaS model is high touch, which means that you're building a product that has a high integration cost that's hard to adopt. Where can you find early adopters? So here are 4 ways. Number 1, very simple, you solve your own problem. And second, you can identify your best customers and you can find more like them. Look at your existing customer database and see where they're coming from, what industries they're in, how did you find them, and just find more like them. And third, you can build a critical mass really quickly in a subset of your market. So for example, we want to build a pan-Latin solution here at Belvo, but we're not just starting with all the countries, we're starting with first with Mexico and then Brazil and now Colombia. So we want to go to a subset of the market where we can get a critical mass of customers really quickly. And last, you can consult, but don't get paid. So one of the dangers is that you do a lot of custom solutions and professional services, and you build your company into a consulting company. And VCs do not want to fund consulting companies because it takes a lot more people to build a consulting company, and software is a lot more scalable. But you can do that early on. You can concierge your customers and build things that they really want. And then as you work with your customers, you can identify patterns across multiple customers and think about what product features can serve a larger and larger set of customers. Next, we'll talk about how we are building local solutions for local customers. So one thing we learned that was a little bit surprising to us at Belvo is that we really need to invest in educating the market. Just simply knowing and saying Europe and the United States did it was not enough. One of the most frequently asked questions by customers is, hey, Belvo looks great, but how do I use it? So despite that there are mature data aggregator providers in other geo markets, so here are 5 examples around the world, we were really surprised, and we really needed to invest heavily in educating the Latin American market to make sure that they know how to use our data, how to get raw data, enrich the data, and then say build underwriting logics for lenders. Many startups focus very heavily on just their customers, but keep in mind that you have a lot more stakeholders than just your customers. And here are the few stakeholders that we serve here at Belvo. So first on top, we have banks and fintechs. These are our customers and our partners. And one of the trends that we observed both in Latin America and also elsewhere in the world, definitely here in the United States, is that every company becomes a fintech company eventually. So let's take Apple as an example. You might think, well, Apple makes phones and computers. Well, Apple also has Apple Wallet, has Apple Pay, and it has a credit card product that's developed in together with Goldman Sachs. So really, Apple is a fintech company. And there are studies that say that younger consumers actually trust tech company brands a lot more than they trust the traditional banks. So every company will eventually become a fintech company. And every fintech company eventually becomes a bank. I think there are some examples like Stripe, like Square, they all eventually became banks. There are many startups buying small banks to get banking licenses because they want to offer banking products. And also every bank is wanting to be a fintech because fintech is the cool thing to do nowadays. And banks are also building up their technology, in-house technology capabilities, and they can now build better technology, more polished consumer apps and consumer experiences. And this is the cohort that we serve. But the line between banks and fintechs will be blurrier going forward. But these are our core customers and partners. And then we have consumers and businesses. These are our customers' customers. And our job is to help our customers enhance the relationship with their customers. So a lot of people think of Belvo, the business like Belvo, as a B2B business, but we're very much a B2B2C business. We are actively building consumer experiences like Connect widgets, like checkout experiences to help our customers build stronger relationships with their customers. On the bottom here, we have regulators. So we want to work closely with regulators to help them achieve their goals and also work within their guardrails. So an example of this is that a lot of governments in Latin America are working on surfacing hidden economy. There's a lot of cash-based economy, and governments are building institutions like SAT in Mexico and DN in Colombia to try to surface some of this hidden economy, to try to centralize the data. So we work with regulators and the systems and regulations that they work with in order to build products. At Belvo, we build local products with local teams. So here are some things that we learned that are specific to Latin America and how we build products for them. So first, we have a ecosystem with a very strong cash economy, and also with up to 60% of unbanked population, depending on which country that we're looking at. A lot of the cash economy activity will show up in the gig economy products like Rappi, like Uber, like Didi. So because of that, we built a gig economy data aggregation product. Then we also learned government wants to centralize financial data. They want to surface hidden economy. And a lot of the really valuable data, comprehensive and complete data, will show up in government institutions like SAT and DN in Colombia. So because of that, we built physical data aggregation products. And right now we're building these products with a team of 150 people. Majority of our team members are in Latin America. Although we welcome remote talent, we have talent in over a dozen countries right now. Last, we will talk about building the company that builds products. So here's a quote from Elon Musk, the founder of Tesla and a number of other companies. So he says that the factory is the machine that builds the machines. And he was referring to the Tesla Giga Texas factory, which is the largest factory of its kind in the world. And this is how we think about building a startup. For us, the company is the factory that builds the products. And here are some ways that we operate Belvo that help us build products. First, we try to foster a decentralized bottoms-up innovation culture. So to give you a sense of how this works in practice, so at the company level, we define the company mission, the decision-making principles, the North Star goals and metrics, the strategic priorities, and also company-level OKRs. These are the guardrails for our teams to think about how they operate. And at the team level, we have the teams define their team-level OKRs, their strategy for their product, their roadmap, and also their capacity plan, whether they can achieve what they set out to achieve. So we don't want to build a culture where we just hire a bunch of managers and tell people what to do, because that doesn't scale. We want to give them the guardrails and have them innovate from the bottoms up. Managers only have so much bandwidth, and having this model helps us scale as a company. So a bit more on decision-making principles. So here are some principles that we use at Belvo to make product decisions. So we talked about thinking big. We also have a principle about diving deep. We really want to find the truth, the truth with lots of data, back with qualitative and quantitative data, to really go deep into the really tough problems that we're trying to solve. We want to optimize for learning fast, and this is why we do things that don't scale. We're constantly testing our hypotheses and our product ideas with our customers and working closely with them. And of course, we want to build products that delight customers. And last, we also want to preserve optionality. It's what Amazon calls the one-way door versus two-way door. Two-way door is a door that you can walk through, but you can also walk back. Whereas one-way door, if you walk through it, you cannot walk back. So we try to make decisions that does not prevent us from pivoting in the future. So in terms of thinking, we try to think in loops, not funnels. So this is an ongoing trend in tech. Companies are trying to iterate with loops over funnels and waterfall processes. Agile development, software development is a good example of this. And the product side, this is how we think. And the goal is that we want new learnings and resources to fuel new work and new products. And we want to optimize for the fastest loop. So on the right-hand side here's an example. When your product grows, it will lead to more and higher quality resources. For example, you make more money. And now you can invest those higher quality resources into solving new and meaningful problems. And if you can do that well, then your product will grow again. To be a bit more specific, so here's an example of how we are achieving our mission: democratize access to financial services with a data and insights loop. So here we'll start on the upper right-hand side. Our product is a data aggregation product. So we aggregate data from the market. We enrich that data with insights, and we deliver those insights to our customers. And those insights will help our customers to deliver their value, which could include unlocking credit for people and also driving smarter financial behavior. And by doing that for consumers, we create more economic opportunities and even more data. So for example, with more credit, people can borrow money to buy a house. They can borrow money to start a small business. And that creates more economic opportunity and more data in the ecosystem. And then we can in turn aggregate that data to complete the loop. So last thing we'll talk about here is about building the team. To operate well, we have to have people, and they're our most valuable asset. So we invest a lot into our hiring process. So here are some hiring principles that we use at Belvo to hire product management roles. We try to hold a really high bar. We want to find talent with the potential to be great. We apply standards consistently. We do that across all interviewers and candidates, and the same standard regardless of perceived candidate seniority. So we don't benchmark people against how many years of experience they have. We benchmark people against their capabilities and competencies. And we also try to run an equitable and diverse process. We always have one or more underrepresented candidates and interviewers in each of the role that we hire for. And we also tell the candidate exactly what to expect. We give them a prep guide to tell them, here are the questions that we'll ask you, here's the format, here's the entire interview flow, and we give them time to prepare before they come interview at Belvo. So we hold a really high bar for all product managers at Belvo. Here are the 3 things that we test for. Product sense. Can this person be really thoughtful and creative, turning ambiguous problems into great products? We also test for product execution. Can this person use data to build products and measure progress? Lastly, we test for team fit. We ask whether this person is the right person to build a specific product. In general, we lean towards hiring specialists. For example, for our financial data enrichment team, we look for product managers who have built products with machine learning models before and who have productionized machine learning models. It takes a lot of work to hire one great product manager. We typically screen 20 or more candidates in order to hire one PM. So here's data from Ashby, the application tracking system we use. And this is data on the PM hiring funnel for small or mid-sized startups. They also show something similar, that it would take screening 23 candidates in order to hire one product manager. So by doing these 4 things, thinking big, doing things that don't scale, local solutions for local customers, and building the company that builds products, you can also build an impactful tech company. And hopefully, your customers will also love you. Here's a quote from one of our customers. They say that by using Belvo's data, we reduce our credit risk by half. And we're helping this company, Facio, unlock additional credit for people to borrow. And final note, we're also hiring at Belvo. We're constantly looking for product managers and other product talent. So please come work with us. Thank you.